Welcome to it, Sunday Live, here with the Average Joe Sports Show, the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman, Mr. Denver fan, Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt. As hope everyone's doing all right with the Average Joe Sports Show. Thank you for all of your subscriptions as that continues to climb. Tell a buddy if you like talking Big Red or hearing people talk about Big Red football hoops and all things Nebraska with the Average Joe Sports Show. YouTube, where you can find us on the weekends and weekdays, of course, on the radio and on the podcast platform. But subscribe and welcome to it. Second show, third, kind of, sort of. I don't know. Math is bad. You guys know this for me. But we're into 2026. Find on Twitter as well, AJ Sports Radio. More portaling to get into. Talent infusion talk aplenty. And yay or nay, fellas, let's start here with Nebraska basketball. Do they sneak into the top 10 tomorrow as they find their way to Columbus? 13 into 10 or 9, maybe? Just kind of depends on who moves in and moves out in front or behind them.
I think that they probably do, just because everybody's latched on to this as being the story of the year in college basketball. So why not?
Great press on college basketball game day Saturday morning for Husker basketball.
Yeah, everybody is talking about it. And I saw numerous things on Twitter yesterday that Nebraska is the story of the year in college basketball. Michigan is far and away the best team. Arizona's right there with the Wolverines. Purdue might be the best team in the Big Ten, which, do the math with Michigan's the best and Purdue might be the best. Don't quite know how that is, but Nebraska is the best story. And I've had that ballot in college basketball, and at this point in the season, you really don't know. So you kind of go with what's trendy to a certain extent. And I would bet that people are going to say, they've beaten Michigan State, Illinois, Wisconsin, and they've done it all in different fashions. And legitimately so. If you put Nebraska at number 9 on your ballot, I don't think anybody's going to question that.
No.
So
you look at the Big Ten. So Michigan is 1. What do you have? 4 teams in the top 10. You could wake up tomorrow or whenever they release the poll for basketball, and you could have like Gonzaga, Duke, Nebraska, Michigan State, Houston. I mean, that could be like
that's a sweet neighborhood, man.
That could be like 7 through 11. Like in the mid-major, Miami of Ohio is a great story because they're one of the 6 unbeatens, and their preseason Ken Palm was like 127. Nebraska's was 51. Maybe the dream of challenging the Indiana team from the 70s dies tomorrow night in Columbus. But the fact that it's the 4th of January and Nebraska could be a top 10 basketball team, I mean, that's pretty impressive. And I still don't know. I still don't know the hesitancy of people like, well, man, I talked to enough people that coach basketball around the country that have seen Nebraska play. And a lot of people are like, hey, man, we're at the game on Friday night. Man, it looked great on TV. Boy, Nebraska's got a good team. Michigan State should have done this and this. But I mean, people that know the game know that Nebraska is a good basketball team. Are they on the level of Michigan? Are they on the level of Iowa State? No, they're not trying to be there. They are who they are. They're a good old team that is experienced, that has a coach that the GM has matched the head coach, and you're getting the result. They're 14-0, and man, hop on for the ride and see where this goes.
And as you kind of laid out, I mean, listen to how other coaches gush about Nebraska's players every single time after they play Nebraska. Nebraska has the type of guys on the team that college basketball coaches yearn to coach. Like, we need guys like that on the team. And Nebraska has it damn near 1 through 5. It's to me, if Nebraska is not a top 10 team come Monday, it's simply because of the name.
Yeah.
If it was Michigan, Arizona, Purdue, name whoever else that is usually near the top of college basketball with this resume, they're probably a top 5 team. But they're Nebraska, and everyone goes, Nebraska, are they for real? To me, the Michigan State game, and I said this to Schmidt on Friday, if they won that game, I have seen enough to prove to me this team is good enough and should go out and get Nebraska's first NCAA tournament win come March. But Michigan State game, to me, that was the prove it ground of, hey, it's a different style of team. Probably have to show a different way to go and win. If you can go out there and win that game against that team, it shows me this Nebraska team is good enough to make a run in the tournament. And that's how I feel. That's how I feel here on a Sunday. This Husker basketball team is good enough. Hey, screw getting one win. Could they make a Sweet 16, an Elite 8 type run? That's what I feel like coming out of Friday night, personally.
Those are some warm, wonderful waters you just uttered with what could be with this team.
Elijah's not wrong. I mean,
no,
they're built where, you know, and I know it's about matchups when you get to the NCAA tournament. It's a crapshoot of who you're going to get, but they're like built where they can play a couple of different ways, and they've done that in their last 2 Big Ten games. You know, they got to win on the road. This is a big week for them to go to Columbus. It is on a Monday. Maybe it's a little sleepy crowd, but they gotta contend with Bruce Thornton, and then they go to Indiana to play on the weekend. So they're built well enough to win any different style of game. Now, can they shoot 5 of 20 from the floor against some of the better teams in the Big Ten and expect to win every night? I don't know. If they play defense like they did and they get some breaks, then maybe. That's a wild stat, by the way, to shoot 5 of 20 from the floor and win a game against a top 10 team. That's what hasn't been done or is very rare.
It was the first time in Division I history a team had only made 5 2-pointers and won the game.
Yeah, I should say 5 of 20. Yeah, because there was
history.
Well, because 36 of Nebraska's 50 points were 3-pointers. Yeah. Live by the 3, die by the 3, man. And not everybody on the other end is equipped to shoot as many threes as Nebraska is going to force you to shoot. But it's crazy because Nebraska, though, I think they can be a better 2-point shooting team because you got a guy that is pretty good in the half-court offense, but they're built where they can chuck the threes, and if they hit them, they're going to get on a roll. If they don't, they got to be better at the other end. But I really thought Michigan State was not ready to handle how much perimeter game there would be. I thought Michigan State thought they were just going to pound it into the paint. And Nebraska, the way they hedged and they played defense, forced them to take more either deep 2s or 3s. And I don't think Michigan State, that's what they wanted to do. I mean, look at what's his name, the guard. Tang missed 11 of 15 shots.
Yeah. He was a volume guy.
He hit him at some timely moments, though. At timely moments, he was knocking him down.
He did, but Izzo still probably made him walk home.
To me, the story of the game with what Michigan State expected they could have and what they actually got was Cohen Carr. That guy is an athletic freak. One of those guys that loves getting to the rim. He has the one highlight reel dunk, but what else did he really do for that team? Did he only finish with 2 points? Like, that is a guy that is incredibly talented, incredibly athletically gifted. He gets to the rim. He's got acrobatic finishes around the rim. That's kind of the story of what changed for that Michigan State team, as Gary kind of said, is you have a guy in Cohen Carr. I think it was only the 2 points. As I think back, I'll check the
alley-oop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they just kind of lobbed a half-hearted toss up to the rim, and here comes Carr flying in. Well, Jack, we were talking to our old buddy Jack Ebling, Mr. Sparty, and
2 points.
It's like, that guy is Jordan-level athleticism when it comes to playing above the rim, and he has a 51-inch vert with a step. I mean,
I think he said 55-inch vert with a step.
Was it 55? Okay. Well, anywho, it's better than the combined vert total of the average Joe Sports Show. Yeah. Sorry to shade you there, a little Sharpie.
I think that was more towards Bill and I.
Yeah.
I ain't got much going on there either.
I'm not.
I've never done it.
But no, the style of play is so important with Nebraska. Their transition defense. That's one thing that I had worried about if I'm a Nebraska basketball fan is Michigan State and how good they were at running. They had minimal transition points. They didn't really get out and get on a break. But what's nice about Nebraska is they can get it to rink down low in the paint. They've gone to work on different opponents this year and really dominated the points in the paint number. You think about what they did against Wisconsin. You think about the points in the paint they were able to navigate against Illinois and then flip it around. They're built to hit from distance. But there's a few heat check shots against Sparty, but it was what was working, right? Taking the 3. And that's how you made your money on Friday night. But no, I just like the way that Sam gets to the rim. I like the plan to get a paint touch if they've been cold from distance at different points in a ball game, to find rink down low. And then I really like Price. Yeah, he's your 3-point guy, but he's done a good job this year of off the dribble. I mean, creating some ways to the rim. So that's important. So the topic of court storming, and hate to go here, but it's going to be a tight ball game. They're always tight on the road. You just came off a great high. You've been on a run. You've had your back padded for a while, and you've earned it and deserved it. So I don't worry about Nebraska getting really boat raced this season, or not being in the fight, so to speak. But you're going to drop a game or two on the road, maybe even one at home at some point. It's just how life is in the Big Ten. Tomorrow night in Columbus, you come in at number 8 or 9. You are that quad 1 win teams are going to climb and cling to at different points of the season to try and boost their resume. Hey, how about that shoe being on the other foot for Nebraska, court storming and all, in Columbus? How do you handle it if it does indeed happen to you at some point this season?
Well, first off, I want to echo the sentiments of the players from Friday night, which is that was fun. You don't need to court storm anymore. Not that, hey, you can have fun.
Stroll.
You can have fun, and basketball should be fun, and it's exciting to get that type of ranked v ranked win. But now that they've shown that at home this year, when Purdue comes to town, I mean, if you take down that Purdue squad, I don't think a court storming is warranted.
You act like you've been there, right?
Because you have been there now with that win. So I want to get that out of the way. But okay, Gary, go for it.
Okay, so it's funny. If you were there, I think your opinion is different if you were not there and saw it on TV. It wasn't like it was just a mass, just gobs of people that came on the floor.
Oh, no.
And it wasn't like it was out of control. It was kind of, as Bill's point, a little bit of a stroll and a celebration.
Yeah.
I get it. Was kind of interesting. You have a couple of guys that were like, hey, you know what? That was fun, but let's don't do it again. We got a standard here. And then there were other guys like, hey, man, this is fun. And I mean, it was from where I was sitting, you saw like dads brought their kids down. They stood on the edge of the floor. They just kind of
that was the moment.
I will say another thing. This is a very likable team, and people want to celebrate with this team. Look at like, if you've been to games this year and you've hung around, watch the reaction of fans towards players as they're coming off the floor, or they come back out to see their families or friends. I mean, this Nebraska basketball team, they're signing tons of autographs. They're just there's a lot of likable players. I mean, I kind of bristled yesterday after we were off the air because I was reading some comments from people that are in our line of business. And I'm like, that's not the story of Friday night. Okay. The story was the basketball game. And the story was an atmosphere in that building that I never thought would eclipse No Sit Sunday. And it did. But who knows what happens next? How many other opportunities there are for people to celebrate, but fans love this team. This team's connected, and the fans are connected to this team. And you have to understand it from the Nebraska basketball standpoint. Your return on investment for what you put in you have gone bankrupt, and you keep coming back, and you keep filling the building, and you keep supporting and thinking this is going to be the year that Kent Pavelka can die because he finally gets to call an NCAA tournament win. So there's all of that that's involved that, I mean, people, for me, I will tell you this. Nebraska basketball is an outlet. Nebraska football is stressful, okay? And it's more of a job. Nebraska basketball is like, hey, all right, this is a thing. This is nice. Let's go and enjoy it. And it's going to ride me through the roller coaster. I don't know. I'm glad that fans are all in on this. I wish more fans would be like, you know what? I'm going to follow the rule of what's happening in college football. I'm going to stop staring at the helmets and past history, and I'm going to stare at the guys that are currently in the uniform playing and how things can be different. Things don't always have to be the same. It doesn't always have to be the past 15 to 20 years of the Sahara Desert of Nebraska basketball. This year can be different. 2 years ago, we saw that. This year feels much different. And maybe we get to a point to go, okay, we stop looking at helmets. We stop looking and going, oh, it's Alabama. And we start looking at, who's coaching and who's playing, and we're going, oh, that's Indiana. That's the reality of college athletics these days.
Yeah,
Things can change.
I thought the court strolling was more a celebration of Nebraska basketball, and maybe a little pent up frustration with what's transpired in football. It was Nebraska fans just celebrating a really fun night. It just seemed like the natural outpouring than celebrating a win over Michigan State. It could have been probably over anybody, and people, because of the excitement of the game, they didn't win it 68-56. They won, 59-58 or whatever it was. Really close game. And it just was the culmination of the atmosphere, the buildup of a couple of days, and it seemed like the thing to do. It wasn't Nebraska's fans celebrating, hey, we beat Michigan State. It just happened to be Sparty. And you didn't have, you had a lot of people in those seats that ordinarily don't get to sit there. Yeah, the students probably would have, run onto the floor had school been in session. But there were a lot of people in that lower bowl that paid $6 to be there and thought, you know what, this is fun. Let's go do this before we go across the street where we celebrate even a little bit more.
Well, it was the court storming happened because of what Michigan State represented. And that's why I'm fine with the court storming on Friday night. It represented that coming out party of, you should be the top 10 team at home, ranked v ranked. There's all the buildup into this game. You're used to being let down. I mean, you were a favorite in that basketball game. That's not why you stormed the court. You stormed it because of what Michigan State represented. And I guess my point from earlier that I was making was there's not going to be that same representation by a team like Purdue. This was the chance to kind of, I think in Husker basketball fans' eyes, put the country on notice. Say, hey, this is a team that is one to watch out for come March. You just beat a top 10 team at home. You're a team that's a real contender in the Big Ten, not a mid-level team. You're a team near the top of the Big Ten. You could be a team that's playing for a double bye in the Big Ten tournament throughout this season. And that's what the game Friday night was. There's a representation, that statement of, hey, Nebraska basketball is here. Illinois wasn't a fluke. This isn't a fluke. This team is legit. You just don't have that. It's not that same feeling later in the season because I think not the entire country, the Big Ten country is on notice for what Nebraska is.
And let's face it, Nebraska fans were also taking note from their master, make room for daddy. Nebraska fans were making room for daddy by going on the floor because, damn it, KP said so. Make room for daddy.
That was good. Is that
where in the hell did that come from?
Yeah, out of left field. But can we pull that up?
If you give me a little bit.
Yeah.
He was, and we all know Kent, and he's a treasure, man. I consider him a friend, and he's been good in my career. He is so
he's on a heater.
He was taking selfies, so they're still on the air. And when people are coming down to the floor, and people are stopping to take selfies with Kent, and he's like high-fiving people, and I don't even know what's going on the radio because I'm at the game. I mean, Jeff Smith probably just carried the entire post game because Kent's like celebrating with the fans.
I think Coach had to do or start the post game interview. I think I'd read that somewhere, and I don't know. I haven't talked to Coach Smith this weekend yet, but yeah.
I mean, KP is awesome.
I mean, and different Twitter handles that are all about college basketball have picked up the audio. Make room for daddy.
Hey, look, whenever Kent hangs it up, and I hope it's a long time. I hope he enjoys this season. He gets his win. Kent can go as long as Kent wants to go. There needs to be, alongside the jerseys in the rafters.
Yes.
I'm sure Stan Cloudy and, whoever. But they need to put a banner up that's got a microphone, and it's Kent Pavelka because of what he has endured through the program. Meant through the program. I can still remember Kent talking about the night in Missouri when Jack Moore made all of his free throws and they were getting stuff thrown on them back. What was that, like 78 or 79? I can still remember with my ear to the transistor of him trying to be hushed in his tones because the Antlers were out to get it. I mean, he's been at it so long. So I hope that I hope that they hang a banner and they retire Kent's microphone and honor him in PBA in perpetuity.
And I think that would be appropriate. Isn't that the game? So I've heard Kent tell the story. I was not, paying attention to Nebraska basketball back then. Is that the game where Andre Smith was going to go up into the stands at the Hearn Center, like after the Antlers? I mean, Kent tells some wild stories from the old Hearn Center in Columbia. The one thing I would, and I don't know, Kent hasn't come out and said this, but I would feel this way. I think Kent would love to do one more football game.
Yeah.
Just one game, and that'd be it of the football career. But you're right, Bill. I think they will when Kent finally decides and Kent gets to decide when he wants to retire. I think they'll put a microphone up and everybody will know that's Kent Pavelka, and he's a treasure, man. He's a Hall of Famer in Nebraska broadcasting history.
Not to look too far down the road, it's also, I think, comforting to sit back and listen to what Kyle Crooks has done with the football broadcast and to think he's probably next in line on basketball. So whenever the time does come for Kent, whenever he decides that he is ready to hang it up and coast off into retirement, that I think Nebraska feels like they have things sorted behind the scenes for someone to replace Kent, which is also, it'll make the decision easier for Kent whenever he does decide to do so. But also it's a comfort to Husker fans that, I mean, Kent Pavelka is a legend and Husker basketball wouldn't be the same without him on the headset, but you have a guy waiting in the wings that has already, shown himself to Husker fans to be competent behind the mic. So that's another factor here that I think hat tip to Kyle Crooks, because he stepped into a really tough role this fall. And as radio people, he did a bang up job on the radio broadcast this year, despite stepping into a really, really tough situation. So I do want to give a little hat tip to him as well.
You jogged the old memory banks of Nebraska, Missouri. And
it was great.
It was incredible.
Sit down, Norm. Sit down, Norm.
Well, old Norm, I remember it might have been January 2nd, but they come out of the gate. Nebraska's playing well. And this is right after, I think, either the Orange Bowl win over Miami.
Yes, Orange Bowl win over Miami.
Missouri comes out with the congratulations t-shirts at the Devaney Center, disarms the crowd.
Oh, it was classic.
It was a classic Norm move. And then Danny and Norm screaming at each other from each coach's boxes for years and years. But back to Kent Pavelka, I'm listening on the way to a Y basketball tournament, and it's a late February, early March game. And this was 94. This was the year that Nebraska went on and Pike and the crew won the Big 8 tournament. Mm-hmm. That always was special to go down to Kemper. And my dad would get sucked into once in a while taking the whole family down to Kemper, because as fate would have it, you'd have a do or die game Sunday, that last Sunday in March, or I should say that last Sunday before the conference tournament. And you'd have a Missouri or Iowa State, Julius Take-a-Leak. It was Meek-a-Leak. But, I mean, you had Iowa State or Oklahoma or somebody in, and Nebraska would get a big win, right? They get that big Sunday Phillips 66 victory, and then Danny'd go start throwing and buying beers at the pit down at the Old Berries. And Steve Schmidt would wander in and hey, free beer with some of his basketball buddies. And we end up going one year to Kemper the year before the Big 8 tournament run. But that
God, how good was Elijah? You didn't get to experience this.
It was just
the
great.
Big 8 basketball with so many different characters as coaches and the players and the atmospheres, and Doug Bell on the Phillips 66 desk, and you have
Bill Doleman,
Britt White, Paul Splittorff, Bill Doleman, John Sunvold. I mean, those were the heydays of basketball around here.
The coaches were amazing to be able to go 1 week to go. You talk to Eddie Sutton at one practice and then wait for Roy Williams to, of course, stiff you, so you'd have to talk to somebody else. Norm Stewart, Billy Tubbs, even going to the Big 12 with Bob Knight, but Johnny Orr.
Ed Hightower was working every game.
Oh my God. Yeah. Steve Welmer, the official. But the fan bases were great. The Antlers were the most feared at Ahern in Columbia.
Didn't they kidnap Little Red, Sharpie?
I don't know about that.
Markowski told a story as how it was the Antlers. Maybe this might have been the football game, the flea kicker. But anyhow, Little Red ended up getting abducted by the Antlers. But back to Missouri, Kent lost his mind. Awful final 90 seconds of officiating where Missouri held on to beat an upset-minded Nebraska team in Columbia, and that was before that spurred on the 94 Big 8 tournament run. So, and Kent was losing. I'm listening in the car as a kid, losing it. Just, and there's a take or two typically per broadcast on a call that isn't liked, right? But this was an all-timer. I know this was like 30 years ago, but I can still remember it to this day. I'm just like, that was all, Strickland ends up in the third row, no whistle. And Nebraska gets beat 78-76, and they do everything but win. And then they go get their revenge tour. It's pretty good. And that's kind of the feel for a lot of Nebraska basketball fans is after so many years of hoping and then it not working out, it's a different year. It's a different team. It's a team that's built for success. It's a team that is confident. It's good. It's talented. Nebraska basketball is better than your team. That feel. Go have a revenge tour 2025, 2026 if you're a Nebraska basketball fan. See how far you can go.
I'm jealous as you guys talk the old stories here because I grew up on Doc Sadler trying to beat Big 12 teams in 53-49 rock fights. That's what I grew up on. And then here comes Kansas to beat you by 30.
Joe McRae, the game winner, 51-50. Yeah. I mean,
but you'd always get the one big upset every single year under Doc. You had to buy the right tickets at the Devaney Center. So I was there for the Texas upset.
Did you see him beat Durant?
Was that the year after Durant? I didn't see them beat Durant, but there was one at the Bob Devaney Sports Center where Texas was number 2, and it was over the weekend.
20 years ago, man.
And number 1 was had just fallen, so Texas was going to be number 1, and then Nebraska goes and beats Texas at home. That was like the highlight of my Husker basketball early watching days. But yeah, other than that, you just had to suck it up and watch Doc Sadler's teams try to win 53-49.
I love Doc, though.
Look, here's the epitome of what basketball was like in the old Big 8 days. And Missouri had it rolling, and what fans were like, okay? The Antlers were the most infamous student group in the Big 8. Everybody hated them because they were so nasty. But Missouri had a player by the name of Steve Stepanovich, big 6'11", 7-foot guy, great player, had an incident where he literally shot himself in the foot. Literally shot himself in the foot.
What happened here?
I guess he had a gun or something and just shot himself in the foot or nicked a toe or whatever. Well, anyway,
baby toe.
For a few weeks after he went on the road, when he would get introduced, back in the day, they used to have cap guns that you could buy at toy stores, and people would bring cap guns to the arenas when Missouri would visit, and they would snap cap guns or those little things that you would slam on the floor. On the cement, and they would pop, so you would hear pop, 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 whenever Stepanovich. And then Iowa State had a guy named Victor Alexander, who was let's just say husky, big dude, really husky. And there would be people, probably the Antlers at Missouri, but they would throw pizza boxes on the floor when he got introduced at some places. That is the glory days of Big 8 basketball, with arguably the greatest assemblage of coaches in the history of the game in one league, and fans that would pack every arena for every opponent because every game was a rivalry game, and student sections were lit. And if you had some knock on your reputation, it got exploited, even by the dead dogs at Nebraska, as Johnny Orr called them, the Dead Dog Alley. Even Nebraska fans, every now and then, could let other teams have it. They may not have won, but when Billy Tubbs and Norm Stewart came to town and whomever, I mean, it was Big 8 basketball was the best.
I hear all those stories, and people are mad about Braden Frager's Instagram post.
Yeah, good context. I love it. I had forgotten the pizza boxes. I just know the student section. When Victor would come in his Iowa State glory, it was big pasta. I mean, he was huge. He was. Who would you compare him to? Remember Oliver Miller from Arkansas?
Mm-hmm.
Just
Who's
a
that?
big,
Yeah,
talented,
yeah.
hefty dude.
Yeah.
Who was that one quarterback at Iowa?
Oh, biscuits and gravy.
Deacon Hill.
Yes,
Hill,
yeah. Good work. I like that.
270 pounds throwing the rock around.
Pure love. All right.
Oh.
Sunday Live here with the Average Joe Sports Show. So we'll see any line out for Nebraska, Ohio State yet.
Not yet.
No, but let me look up.
Gary's saying I know a guy who tends bar. Hold on.
I'm gonna look up Ken Pomeroy. Kind of. He has
Projecting.
Ohio State winning 78-77. So he has Nebraska losing the next 2 games by a grand total of 3 points.
All right. We'll see.
His final projected Nebraska record, by the way, is 24-7, 13-7 in the league. And Nebraska's already
huge.
got 14 of those, and they've got 3 conference wins.
So can I say something crazy? 7 losses seems a little high. There will be losses, but am I crazy to say that 7 Big Ten losses, while that'd still be a great season, feels like a little bit? Because I don't know. In terms of the teams that I just think, okay, Nebraska probably doesn't stand much of a chance against. Michigan. Are there any
That's
other?
probably 2 losses.
But as I look at the schedule, there's going to be nights where they don't have it. They don't shoot the 3 ball well. But I think they're good enough to be, in my opinion, every team in the league except Michigan. Is that crazy?
Yeah. Well, like they'll have a like this week. Would you be comfortable if they split?
Yeah,
in Columbus
I,
and in
I
Bloomington.
kind of forgive me.
Would-
I kind of expect them to split.
Yeah. They've got the trip to Michigan, which good luck to anybody that's playing there. Going to Iowa City in the middle of February will be tough. Iowa's a good team.
Yeah, they
I mean, good for the Iowa fans. They get to enjoy good basketball. And then there probably is, there's that stretch at the end of the year where they go to Los Angeles and they get USC and UCLA. So yeah, 7 might be a stretch. So Ken Pomeroy has them losing the next 2, Michigan, and then when Illinois comes to Lincoln, has them losing at home to Purdue, losing at Iowa, and then losing both games in Los Angeles.
That's a lot of losses.
I mean, those are tough road games, though, man. I mean, UCLA and SC's good this year. You got to go to Iowa. What do you guys think of Nebraska's schedule? When you looked at me, you got Dana coming to town and Oregon's still kind of trying to find themselves. Purdue's in Lincoln. You get Illinois back in that home and home. Purdue,
Well,
I shouldn't say Purdue, but Penn State's always a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and you at least you don't have to go out to the monastery out there and play before 2 people. Okay, so let's just look at this month. They have 8 games. They've already played 1, so they're 1-0. I thought if they went 4-4, you'd be like, okay, that's acceptable because they're due for a letdown. But now if they don't go 5-3, I'm like, okay. And remember, there's Michigan and then the 2 games. But if they've got this key 4-game stretch after this weekend where they get Oregon, who is not as good as they've been in the past, but they still have size and they have a good guard in Shellstad, and then Biddle is still around. Then they go to Evanston to play Northwestern, who blew a lead yesterday and got beat by Minnesota. Then they come home for Washington. Then they go to the Barn to play Minnesota. One thing, by the way, is pretty clear. It's not just football. It's men's basketball. Hell, it might be the entire Big Ten. Coaching is so much better. Like the upgrades on the football side and the upgrades on the men's basketball side have made this a conference where you cannot get buried. You got to be really, really good at your job, or you're going to be in trouble. And I think Nico Medved, they've got some talent issues, but Nico Medved was a really good hire for Minnesota. So I think if you go 5-3 this month, I think that would be, you would go, okay, here we go.
I think 5-3 to me would be acceptable. 6-2 is on the table.
What do you believe
they,
right now is a, let's get way in front of ourselves as we're talking schedule and outlook. Seed wise, I mean, I had to do a double take, but I saw a couple of places that had a Nebraska seed number next to them that said 2.
Oh, I think 3-4 is where the wheelhouse
wanna
is
live.
right now.
Just avoid the 5 seed. There's a 1 or 2 5 seeds getting upset in the first round every single year. Avoid the 5 seed. I'd rather be a 6 than a 5.
Yeah. I thought Nebraska played Michigan twice. They've only got Michigan once, and they've got Purdue at home. So 7 might seem a little bit high to me on that loss column. And then what else? What's 3, 4, 5 in the league going to have behind Purdue and Michigan? Third place might have 5, 6 losses. As tough as the league could be. But if you finish in the
Michigan,
top 4 of the
Purdue, Illinois, Nebraska, Michigan State,
probably
SC, Iowa.
I mean, and maybe I am just a victim of the moment. And considering the wins Nebraska already has against Illinois and Michigan State, I think Nebraska's the 3rd best team in the Big Ten.
They're playing like it right now. They're 3-0.
And if you get Purdue at home, crowd's going to be juiced up for that one as well. It's not unthinkable to think Nebraska could beat Purdue at home because, hey, they always play Matt Painter teams really, really close no matter how good the Purdue team is, especially when they're playing in Lincoln.
They've been
They seem to match up well. They seem to match up well with Purdue. You could make an argument Nebraska's the top 3 team in the Big Ten come tourney time.
Our friend Tim Verghese tweeting out moments ago, you have Anthony Jones set to visit Nebraska tomorrow.
Is he a basketball player?
No. He is
He's an addition.
he is a 6'5" redshirt junior rush end from UCLA. One of the leaders for the Bruins with their kind of their pressure package. So there is that, guys. We've got a few minutes left. Let's talk a little bit of portal and quite a slew of visitors here the last 24 hours and future 24 to 48 hours with Elkhorn Chowder, the defensive tackle from K-State, Hawthorne from Iowa State. You've got Breland from Memphis, the offensive tackle. I like
Not
the
coming.
Lockett.
Not coming.
He is not coming now.
May it won't be today.
Okay. Then you've got Gilmer and
You have Black that is wrapping up practice or wrapping up his visit, and probably from your house, Schmidt, you could have seen the lights in Memorial Stadium yesterday. They had the red glow coming out of the stadium. Yeah,
I think
so
Black.
He's wrapping up his visit.
Sounds like he's in, and it doesn't appear that he may find his way to South Carolina. He may just sign and stay. And then, of course, you're waiting on Mincy's official announcement if you're Nebraska.
Well, he's visiting early next week to make it official. I will. On a side note, like just looking at some of the yeses, Wisconsin's had a good first couple of days.
Yes,
they got their quarterback, they got the running back from Iowa State, but on Nebraska, and a lot of these names are foreign to people. They're just catching up, and by the way, it's turned into a cottage industry. I think the on threes and the 24/7s, they have more attention towards their portal activity than their high school recruiting activity.
That's where it's gone.
But instead of looking at particular names, there's some that intrigue me, and of course, there's San Diego State guys. I'm looking at the size. So Nebraska is going big. If you look at their targets for offensive linemen, I mean, we're talking about some huge boys. I mean, we're talking 6'3", 6'4", 300-plus pounds. You look on the defensive line, they're back to 300-plus pound guys. You look at who they're lining up visits for, like linebacker or edge. They're all kind of that sleek Randy Gregory kind of size where they're long. 6'3", 240, 245, 255. So I think that at least from there, they have a plan of the body types that they're pursuing. And we're getting to see that they have a priority, and the trenches, linebacker, and safety are an area which they have identified early on, because it does appear that they do have their top quarterback target, and now they'll go find another one. Did it surprise you guys where Lincoln Kienholz ended up? Transfer from Ohio State.
Great spot for him.
I think there'd be a line if I'm in the portal and I'm a quarterback, right? I'm going to go talk to Dillingham. I'm going to go talk to the guy at Kentucky that just left Oregon, and I'm going to go talk to Brom. And Brom is the first phone call I make, and I say, "Sir, will you take me and scream at me and make me a good quarterback?" Because that's all that guy does is make great quarterbacks. Good for Kienholz, man. I mean, I think that's a great get for Louisville. And I think that Kienholz kid, a lot of talent, just stuck behind other talent at Ohio State. That's big time.
So what does that say about the transfer from Nebraska? If Louisville was the place where he was potentially targeted to go, and they go to the backup quarterback at Ohio State, and
who's not been in many game situations, may have a snap here or there with Ohio State blowing people out. Comparatively, you have 2 years of film and a 13-9 record, and
that's going to be that's going to be one of the most intriguing things over the next 2 weeks.
Well, we're all hearing Oregon, and I don't know that I buy it. Do you? I mean, it's not that he couldn't land at Oregon, but I don't know that. Say Moore goes off to the NFL, right?
He should, I think.
And then what? If you're Oregon, you've been really good at getting portal quarterbacks. That's what you've done well, on top of many things, with your lines of scrimmage. So if you're Oregon, do you go take two portal quarterbacks, or do you just kind of go get Dylan and say it works perfectly?
So when I was out there last week, I asked, I said, do you think there would be an interest in a guy like Dylan Raiola? And some people that are in their program, they're like, we got a deep quarterback room. Now they just lost one quarterback, but they have a local guy that has kind of they've been moving along, like is going to be the heir apparent. But it's Oregon. They'll take as many guys as they want, and they will say, go compete, and the best guy will win. I think Dylan's approach, I think it's intentional that it's been very quiet, because you don't hear a lot about nationally of people crystal balling or projecting. But I also wonder, I don't know this is just me wondering out loud. With Dylan, remember, he's injured. So, does he have to provide some medical stuff, to reassure that, yes, he'll be good to go once he steps on campus, once class starts, he'll need a little rehab, but he'll be ready to go for spring. But I think it's probably intentional that it's been really quiet around his camp and his agent, because in the first 2 years at Nebraska, it wasn't quiet. And it really went the wrong way in terms of, the vibe towards him. So I think it's intentional that it's quiet.
And I wonder, looking forward with him, and this will tell me a lot about what his future looks like. Is he going to go to a spot where he is guaranteed a starting role, or is he going to go to a spot where he's going to be forced to compete? And I think he's willing to be a competitor. But I think if he'd like to go to some of the name brand schools that his camp has tried to link him to, it's going to require competition. So what's he looking for?
Where's the proof of that?
What do you mean?
That he was willing to take on competition. Every school.
I think he's going to have to be.
Well, I agree with that. But to say that he's willing to do it, he didn't want to do it this year at Nebraska. He wasn't going to be guaranteed the job at Nebraska. And 5 high schools in 4 years, it's always been that he's the guy. So I don't see where past performance is proof of future success, and that also means past performance and going to where the competition is. So that's what I don't see that. Where is he going to go to get the job? Who has a senior quarterback that's going to be gone? Iowa, I guess, Miami, maybe, Oregon, but a lot of those places are going to go, we're not just going to hand you the job. That's why I think it's going to probably be a school maybe in the AAC or CUSA or something like that, where he's going to be given the job. But I can't see him going to a place where, if they've got a solid quarterback room at Oregon, or probably going to have an opportunity to take their pick at Miami or something like that, that he's going to go, I'm going to go battle for the job, and with the potential of losing it. And as Gary aptly points out, coming off of an injury that once that's healed, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be 100%. He may not be 100% until whatever school begins at spring practice. And even then he might be limited. Who knows? So I think it's problematic in terms of what their pick of schools is going to eventually be, especially if he doesn't want to compete.
And then there's the money part. I mean, he was paid handsomely at Nebraska. Is he going to get that at his next stop? I also, thinking why it's kind of quiet, there may be a couple of teams that are still playing that are on his radar. And so that's why you haven't heard much.
How do you guys feel about, and you saw it with great success, being able to translate JMU to Indiana, what Signetti brought with him from a really incredible program, land and translate. Not just JMU guys, but a lot of JMU guys have helped contribute to what Indiana has been and done the last 2 years. You go hire a coach, you go hire a coordinator. In Nebraska's case, you've got Orich and Manning, both from San Diego State. San Diego State's had really nice couple of seasons. The thought is you're going to be able to go get not all, but some of the difference makers on defense to have an inside track to add to your defense this year for your Nebraska. That adds up. Do you worry about that level of transition from playing ball at San Diego State? If you can play, you can play, right? There's guys that fall through the cracks. Look at Dan Pierre, right, for Utah at quarterback. Look at Chambliss at Ole Miss. That said, that'll be a thing. I mean, whoever Nebraska ends up getting, you're targeting a safety, you're targeting a linebacker, maybe a defensive lineman as well, a guy you want to help give you good snaps at all three levels from San Diego State in the Big Ten. Is that something that's been on any of your minds, that transition, and how does it translate to being able to play ball in the Big Ten?
Well, listen, if you use the JMU example, it's not necessarily about the players or where they were at. It's about the coaching and the culture that you're bringing them into. Can the coaching go out and evaluate and find a guy that, hey, I think he can hang at this level, whether it's a big name or not? It's the coach evaluating, can he play at this level? And does he fit into my defense? Does he fit into the culture I'd like to instill on my defense or on my offense or whatever it may be? I say it's less about the player and it's less about the name, and it's more about the situation they're walking into.
Being accurate with that evaluation.
I mean, like, I think it's 50-50. Andrew Marshall came in from Idaho and could play. It was really, really good. Jalen George, East Tennessee State. Nice kid. Loved the fact that, it was a much bigger place being at Nebraska. It didn't work out for him. Marquise Watson Trent, really good player at Georgia Southern, but just did not have the size for the Big Ten. And Isaiah Hunter comes in from Cal, great player. Dane Key probably could have been a great player had they been able to get him the ball. I think it's a 50-50 thing. Sometimes guys slip through the cracks for whatever, and they end up at an FCS school, and they've got all the ability in the world. They just need a chance. You can go all the way back to Samari Toure. Was at Montana.
Did really well.
Well coached and came in and not in a great situation at Nebraska and thrived at Nebraska.
Made the Packers roster as a 7th round guy.
Well, I also think there's part of, the San Diego State guys. And I do think if you can coach anywhere. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's not actually a fit. Like DeBoer, I think, is a really good coach, but it takes a different kind of person to coach at Alabama. But he could go somewhere else. He could go to Wisconsin next year, and he's really, really good again. And I think, guys, if you can play, you can find a way to play, whatever level. And when you're overlooked, look at Marty Brown. Marty Brown was at North Dakota State. He was overlooked when he was being recruited out of Creighton Prep. He goes to North Dakota State and does what he does, and he scores the game-winning touchdown against Ohio State. I think you also, in this discussion about San Diego State guys, if you hire a guy like Rob Orich, you have to trust that he's not just going to load his roster with guys that are familiar with his system and it's all going to fail. He's going to pursue guys that are going to come in and make a difference.
Right.
And I think if you look at some of the guys that are on Nebraska's radar that Nebraska has a legit chance at, they're good football players. I'm not going to turn my nose down to a group of 5 working as a feeder program for Nebraska, because Andrew Marshall is a prime example. Nebraska got good intel. Dan Jackson at South Dakota State was his defensive coordinator. Jason Eck was his head coach. Nebraska got good intel. They're like, yeah, we are lucky that he's playing at Idaho, but he can play at your level. Nebraska says, we want him. That's where it all comes into relationships. This whole process over the next 2 weeks is about relationships with agents, relationships with coaches, that they're going to be honest with you when you go, hey, what happened at your place? Can this guy play? I imagine as Nebraska started to do their due diligence on Kenny Minchie, they probably got to Marcus Freeman. And, Marcus Freeman said a lot of good things about Rocco Spindler. Rocco Spindler had a good year. He enjoyed his time at Nebraska. So it's not like a guy that Freeman coached went somewhere and had a bad experience. And so if Kenny Minchie comes to Marcus Freeman and says, hey, what do you think about Nebraska? He's going to go, hey, Rocco last year, he hated it. He probably has given a glowing review of, hey, I think this guy would be perfect for what you're trying to do at Nebraska. So it's a lot of this is relationships over the next couple of weeks of getting in, because, the speed dating doesn't necessarily work for Nebraska. It looks like guys that they can get to know and work on a little bit better through past connections, whether it be Key, DeKale Shorts was his position coach. They have better success.
Well, and you talk about what Nebraska is doing. As you look at these portal targets, I know most of these guys not in the boat or not in the boat yet. Does the stylistic or the style that they seem to be building, defensively especially, even a little bit offensively, I almost feel like those Pelini years where you have those big space eaters on the inside, your Vincent Valentine, Malik Collins types. You have your long, lanky, athletic edge rushers like a Winery on the outside, which reminds me of Randy Gregory. Excuse me, you mentioned him earlier. Mm-hmm. There's that thought out there. Hey, you need a big time safety to go patrol the middle of the field, a Damian Stafford type, Eric Hague even. And then offensively, hey, we're going for bigger offensive linemen, the 6'4", 6'5", 300+ pound guys that are real maulers in the run game. And we're going to use the threat of the quarterback run to give him a little more time when he does drop back to pass. Bigger bodied wide receivers. Does it feel it feels a little Pelini-esque, I think, with what they're trying to build identity-wise offensively and defensively. Obviously not like for like, not perfect comparison, but it feels closer to a Pelini offense than, say, a Scott Frost offense or what the offense has been the past 2 years, especially on the defensive side of the ball, too.
So as long as you're going back to that era, go get me a John Garrison offensive line. I mean, go get me an O-line that is athletic, but also pretty physically tough, and you've got the right folks there.
Hey, keep this in mind too. Nebraska needs to start signing players because classes begin on January 12th. So they need to get on campus.
January 20th, though, is the deadline.
Get their books purchased, get their school supplies so they can get their campus map and be in class on Monday, January 12th, when the academic calendar begins again, because these are student athletes after all.
Yeah, they didn't come here to play.
I wish Junior was good at sports.
Dude, you see what Carson Beck said after the Ohio State game, where he talked about the fact that I'm in the team facility 10 hours a day, meetings, film, practice. I ain't going to class, bro.
It's online, brother.
It's online.
I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm there till 10 o'clock at night. It's all like, when are you in Sports Broadcasting 375, Carson?
I don't think because this past year I think Dylan was all online.
Mm-hmm.
I think they all are.
Better than Maurice Washington's falling asleep in the first row of class. Like that.
So what would consider again, Nebraska's going to have some wins out of the portal. They're going to have some guys that I think will come in and they'll fit right into the Big Ten. What would you guys consider? Okay, Nebraska had an awful portal season.
No running back.
Because this is like the beginning of spring training where you might have just had a 7-6 season, but all of a sudden the weather changes, the calendar changes, and all of a sudden you're optimistic and you're like, that guy could be the guy this time.
The Rockies got a chance.
Give me give me Willie Mays Hayes waking up, going, I've been cut already. Get that guy a uniform.
They need 2 vending machines on the defensive line, at least 1 on the offensive line, a running back, and a good quarterback that's going to be part of a quarterback competition, not coming here to be a backup. Because if you go get a backup quarterback at some other place, he's going to be a backup quarterback at Nebraska. They need to bring in somebody that's going to be a true competition. If Minchie has been a backup at Notre Dame, that ought to mean that he should be hungry and was not satisfied with being just barely beat out by CJ Carr, but then never playing. That tells me backup quarterback. That they need somebody who's going to come in and compete for the job and could win the job and be the starter. But to me, 2 vending machines on the D-line, 1 on the offensive line, and a running back are, to me, those are the most important.
Give me 3 on the defensive line. And if you're Nebraska, just be right, man. Be right with the money you're spending, and be able to get that production. And Elijah's nailed it with, the fit is so important. Going back to Fred's flip, right, from first 3 years to next 3 years, you need to see that in football with just nailing it, and then be able to develop what you do get in, because guys, Nebraska's spent money on the right guys the last few years, on some of the right guys, and you saw, Pritchett's a guy that they're going to make sure comes back, and the way he ended the year, he's playing good football. You want to see a jump from Winery for sure, because there's obvious talent there. You saw Marshall be big time. And then on the offensive side of things, go kind of round out, sprinkle in what you have versus what you need on that offensive line. Give me 3 vending machines, Bill. I see your 2, and give me a third. You need Coke, Pepsi, and then the snack option, right? With running backs, though, I mean, I liked what I saw from Mekhi Nelson. Is there a name out there, fellas, that you would draft and say, okay, here is Gary Sharp or Bill Doleman's top running back on the board? I think the guy that intrigues me a ton, and it sounds like Cam Edwards, because of his relationship with Barthel, is the junior out of UConn that will probably land here. But Dylan Edwards, I mean, that guy's played at some big time programs.
No.
I'm saying he has the potential for the best upside, but there's also, all right, this is what, school number 3?
Listen, there's 2 guys out there from the same school. I mean, I know we're talking running back here. You guys seen Minnesota's guys in the portal right now? Look at Faye Majobi. You look at Coy Parrish.
Both those guys, I would give them a blank check and bring them here.
And they'd both fit Nebraska.
I think Parrish is he's going somewhere that's going to get him to the NFL right away. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if I'm Ohio State, I'm locked in on him. The other one that you mentioned is keep an eye on him at running back for Nebraska to get a visit. Now, back to Cam Edwards. So Cam Edwards is visiting Michigan State. I don't think he is locked in a trip or a visit to Lincoln yet. But he does have that connection because of UConn. But Michigan State, I think, has him on campus today. Now, why I say no on Dylan Edwards is, he didn't work out at Colorado. It didn't work out at Kansas State. Man, if you can't play for Chris Kleiman,
as a running back,
yeah, I just I don't know that Nebraska needs that. But think about, so Nebraska has taken 38 portal guys, and half of them have become starters. So let's say you get 20 portal guys this year. Are there 10 open spots? There might be more open spots on this roster if you're doing like a way too early depth chart. So I think if they find at least 8 to 10 starters, but a couple of those guys have to be in competition to be all Big Ten next year on one of the all Big Ten teams. They can't just be fillers and good players. They got to be able to find, identify, evaluate, and find difference makers, and then turn them into difference makers. And I don't care where they've come from. They just have a new lease on life, or they get a chance to play at a higher level, and they blow up.
And if there is a positive to take away from this is, while Nebraska does need a lot of help, I think they also have guys within their program that they think have all Big Ten potential next year already. When you look at a guy in, I think, Isaiah Hunter, they feel that way about. Pritchett, they feel that way about. Marshall, they feel that way about. Winery needs to get a lot better, especially against the run. But I think from an athletic profile point of view, they feel that way about him. There are guys on this roster that Nebraska feels really, really good about. That being said, you're going to need to pair them up with a lot of new guys coming in. But you have some quote-unquote big money guys, some guys that are difficult to go pull out of the portal. Those guys that you look at and you go, okay, that's an all Big Ten type player. They've brought guys in like that already in previous classes, and now it comes down to you're finishing out the recipe. Well, you got some ribeye on the table, but
you cook it.
But yeah, you got to cook it right, and just a ribeye is not a meal. That's not a 5-star Michelin-starred restaurant meal. You got to pair it up with the right side dishes.
Well, don't make it overcooked. You can't serve me a ribeye that's well done. Come on now. But Joby's a dude that we all got to watch against Nebraska.
Yeah.
And I whatever Fleck is doing up there between he's always got, it feels like, somebody in the back seven that gets developed and emerges, be it a safety or an edge guy. He's got offensive Walter from Philly. Yeah, 2 ribeyes would be pretty good. It is grill weather this afternoon. But Minnesota's always got some angry running back that is going to emerge. I like Mekhi Frazier. I thought I saw him a little bit with Sparty and how hard he ran, not only against Nebraska, but also I liked his game against USC. That didn't go Sparty's way, but I think Frazier's a good back, is an option. I like Nebraska's receiver room, but I know they're looking at Gilmer from UCLA, and 3 guys you like on the offensive line. I mean, it sounds like Black is one. Who else do you like if you're Nebraska to add either? It sounds like from a ton of options out of South Carolina or Georgia Tech. Some obvious connections.
Well, and you never know who is not in the portal yet that Nebraska would have a keen interest in.
Or,
I mean, this is I think sometimes if you wait it out a little bit, because the opening weekend is a flurry. If you wait it out, you might find the guy you're looking for because some dominoes start to fall. And also remember, there is the portal window for the teams that are in the playoff, the teams that are in the championship game as well. And Nebraska got one of their starting guards last year out of the team that played in the national championship game.
Yep.
And there's also post-spring. I know there's only one transfer portal window, but guys can still go through spring ball, get through the second semester, and decide this is not where I want to be anymore.
Well, and where there's a will, there's a way with that. There's a loophole. There's a loophole for everything, and you saw it with Mac Markway, or he's just a walk-on for this season, and maybe his tuition gets taken care of with NIL money. I don't know, but he's just a walk-on. He just showed up. We don't know where he came from. There's a loophole for everything.
Let me throw this out there as I know we're getting ready to wind down, because there's a large discussion about talent on Nebraska's roster. And I kind of judge when guys leave the program, where do they end up?
Mm-hmm.
Do they fall up? Do they go to a similar Power 4 conference team, or are they relegated to Group of 5 or even FCS? How many guys that are in the portal for Nebraska and what they're at 14 now end up at a Power 4 school? 2?
Let us name off who's in the portal: Raiola, Hartzog, Gradney, Alvano, Davila, Noonan, Okafor, Vermas. Is Parker, Jamarian Parker, is he in the portal or not?
Yes.
He's not officially in the portal, but he is. Yeah, he's in the portal.
Machachak, Jalen George, Braylon Prude, you have Ramir Stewart, Dylan Parrott, or is it Perot? Forgive me, but Parrott. So yeah.
So Dylan's a given.
Dylan will.
Hartzog will.
And so there's your 2
Maybe
that are
Albano?
guarantees that are guarantees that they'll be.
I think Davila. I think
Davila
will end up.
Ooh.
Well, that's quick take.
I don't know.
He started off at two spots. I don't know, man.
He might end up like at a place like North Texas or something. I think he'll go back to Texas, where there's any number of Division I schools that'll give him a shot to be a starting quarterback. Where his name they probably still know about him from his high school days.
From an offensive point of view, like a UTEP or a Sam Houston State, 'cause North Texas coaches out the door. You don't know what their offense will look like moving forward. But he's a guy that kind of comes from more of an air raid background. Like a UTEP or a Sam Houston State could be an interesting landing spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see about that. But
So
no, Hartzog, Raiola circled, and I got Alvano as a maybe ending up at a high level school.
You asked the question, Sharpie, and I think the quick answer is minimal.
which I think is a sign of the talent you have on your roster. I mean, it's kind of
what have you been
kind of an
recruiting?
indictment of you.
Yeah.
What are you recruiting? What are you developing? We'll be back.
What are you evaluating? That's the thing. Like the thing about Signetti, whether it be high school or portal, and this goes all the way back to his days at JMU, he's got an elite eye for talent. Man, he can project like a guy what he'll look like in his system, and they don't have very many misses. I mean, it seems like every guy they've added or was already on campus, they don't miss on. So that eye for evaluation, but more projecting what this player can be, what he's going to be in your program. I think are two things that Nebraska has struggled with.
Well, and that's why Nebraska was so good for so long, is not only did they develop you, but they saw what you could become, and then both coaching and player maximized. And that's, they projected accurately. And if you missed, there was a walk on to go erase, right? To go erase the misstep. Like and subscribe to the Average Joe Sports Show. Do so. YouTube 7 days a week for you. Twitter, AJ Sports Radio. Sharpie Claus is already out the door. Can find Gary and Matt 6 to 10 weekday mornings on 1620 The Zone. Find myself at Elijah. Get caught up and do so 4 to 6.
Bill,
on,
one more thing.
KFOR and along the Average Joe Network. We just shouted out where folks can find you weekday mornings.
Thank you.
Programming note: Thursday night, our best friend from the Nebraska basketball team, Sam Hoiberg, makes his broadcasting debut on Nebraska women's basketball game. I think Nebraska plays Indiana on the 8th, and then he'll be on the mic again on the 11th on KRNU. Justice Rhodey, I believe, will be his partner on the 8th. So Justice and Sam getting the call for Nebraska and Indiana, and Sam will also have the game on the 11th and later on the 28th. So beginning his broadcast career on KRNU. So thought I would throw that out there. Yep.
That'll be nice. Sharpie, have a good week. Pride of Fairbury, have a good week. Elijah, thank you.
Quickly here, lock in your prediction. Is it Steelers or is it Ravens making the final spot in the AFC tonight?
Ravens.
Yeah.
Give me Steelers because it's Mike Tomlin and there's some sort of devil magic going on in Pittsburgh where they always sneak in with an 8-9 or a 9-8 record and then get blown out in the wild card. It's going to happen again. They're going to win tonight and then get blown out by probably would that be the Jags in the first round?
No, that's a hard pick because they both have been so up and down.
I guess the Jags won their division, so it'd be the Bills that would probably blow them out. In the
where's it at?
Is it in
Pittsburgh.
It's in Pittsburgh, I think.
Give me Pittsburgh at home.
Rock fight has been the order of the day with Nebraska and Michigan State. It will be a rock fight in a phone booth between those two teams in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I like Pittsburgh because I think there's so many distractions with Baltimore. This could be it for John Harbaugh.
He wants out, man. He's probably over it.
By the way, will this be the last day for Zach Taylor?
I hope not. They have rallied. Out of Burrow's 6 years, 4 of them he's had extended injuries.
Well, and I don't like how they have constructed their roster. I think he might be a casualty, but I think they have constructed their roster. But some of those comments from Joe Burrow about not enjoying football and things, I think this season might be an issue for that team as a whole.
He got him to a Super Bowl, for God's sake. I know there's a shelf life on that, but if you get to leave Cincinnati one way or the other, it's like Red getting paroled at the end of Shawshank. Finally, it's happened.
The problem is you can't use 70% of your team's cap space on a quarterback and 2 wide receivers anymore. The NFL has changed from where it was 5 years ago, where the teams that are having success have really strong offensive and defensive lines for the most part.
Yeah, they couldn't keep Nixon. Wide receiver. Yeah, think and I know they've gone to Brown, but when Zach had it rolling, their offensive line wasn't as horrible. They're giving up, it feels like 40 a game defensively. With old boy from Notre Dame, that's their
Al Golden.
Yeah, Al Golden. Thank you, shirt and tie. So you've got to score 40 to win in Cincinnati this season. And
Cincinnati they don't like to spend money. They don't like to.
No, that's the worst franchise to work for. Period.
They don't like to pay off coaches.
Arguably,
they never should have signed T. Higgins to that contract because it's really tied.
He got him 10 touchdowns this year. I think
it's all. If Joe Burrow wants you to stay, you stay. If Joe Burrow says we got to move on, you got to move on.
And I don't trust Joe Burrow, the GM, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a GM, you have to make hard decisions to give yourself the best chance to win. And I don't think paying all that money to 2 wide receivers gives them the best chance to win. They have a lot of other issues on that roster. And I think there might need to be an offseason of change in Cincinnati with the roster, and maybe that also starts with the head coach. That's my concern. I think he's a great head coach, though.
Well, then Zach could come to Nebraska and be an offensive assistant play caller.
Hey, I would. I don't think if he was not the head coach in Cincinnati, I don't think he'd be out there very long with people that needed some offensive guidance.
No,
but is he one of those guys that is just, he's been in the NFL long enough now that he's going to stay an NFL guy? I hope he gets another crack at it in Cincinnati, but I don't think he'd be a guy that would be unemployed very long.
No,
he'll find a spot for sure. Fellas, have a good week. We'll huddle back up next weekend with the Average Joe Sports Show. Take care, Joes. Thanks for your time and listenership, viewership in the stream. We'll be back at you again with the Average Joe Sports Show. Take care.